Hello and welcome. Tonight, court sentences BRT driver Andrew Minikora to death by hanging for the murder of 22-year-old fashion designer Bamise in February 2022. Department of State Service confirms that no weapon was found on the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, at the time of his arrest in 2015. Former Vice President Atiku says he doubts the sincerity of the executive arm to effect the necessary changes to the nation's existing electoral laws ahead of the 2027 elections. And the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, tells the BBC he would love reconciliation with the royal family after losing a legal challenge over his security in the United Kingdom.
The Central Bank of Nigeria reports 38.8 billion naira profit in 2024. It bounces back from 1.15 trillion naira loss.
On Sports News tonight, San Antonio Spurs announced five-time championship-winning coach Greg Popovich is stepping down after 29 seasons at the National Basketball Association franchise.
From the nation's capital, Nigeria police force announces the smashing of a key kidnapping syndicate operating across international borders and rescue of 2 kidnapped Ghanaian nationals.
We begin tonight from the courts. A verdict from the Lagos High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square has sentenced a bus rapid transport BRT driver Andrew Minikora to death by hanging for the murder of the 22-year-old fashion designer Bamise Ayana. In a statement and judgment that lasted over 2.5 hours, Justice Sherifat Shonaike held that the prosecution, as the Lagos State government, had successfully proven beyond reasonable doubt that the defendants committed the offense. The convict was also handed a 14-year jail term for the attempted rape of the deceased, life imprisonment for the rape of another young woman, as well as another 3-year jail term for the sexual assault of a third young woman.
This, I see, is the first phase. So, because he didn't do this thing alone, all right? So, from the admissible voice notes Bamise dropped, were, made to know that there are other people in the vehicle, all right? There are other people in the vehicle. So if this is all Nigeria police can give us, they cannot bring the phone she was using to do the conversation. Because when this guy was tracked, it was actually tracked. We were tracking the phone of Bamise and himself. And they were in the same location. All right? So when you got this guy, definitely Bamise's phone was with him. All right? So what happened? What about these other accomplices?
Those who were there in the bus as at the time Bamise was murdered should be identified, named, and brought to justice. 2, the Android phone belonging to Bamise, with which she was communicating with her friend, which led to the arrest of the convict now. Where is that phone? It should be produced. Then the third one, which makes our demand, I said not demand, demand, is the fact that we have always been asking the convict now, who has been a murder suspect, we are told that he has been in prison custody. And we want the prison authorities, or the authorities rather, to confirm to the whole world if indeed, as at the time Andrew was arrested, he has actually been in prison. Because, so that it do not be like case of, Bob Risky, who were later told that he was in prison, now said that there was a rented apartment very close there. And on the day of coming to court, he will come.
And staying with the court, a witness of the federal government who is an operative of the Department of State Service has admitted to no weapon, said no weapon was recovered from the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kano, during his arrest on October the 15th, 2015 in Lagos. During the cross-examination conducted by Mr. Kano's counsel, Kanu Agabi, the witness said that all the items recovered in the hotel room were personal properties of the leader of Biafra. Our correspondent Manuela Ekele reports.
The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kano, is at the Federal High Court Abuja for the continuation of his trial in a case instituted against him by the federal government on alleged terrorism. He converses with some of his lawyers as he awaits the commencement of the trial. The court resumed hearing from where it left off on April 29, this time with the cross-examination of PWAAA, led by Kanu's lead counsel, Kanu Agabi. Answering a question, the DSS operative admitted that no weapon was recovered from Kanu during his arrest in 2015. The cell phone of the defendant was analyzed, but the report of the analysis was not made available to the court because it was immaterial. He admitted that the properties impounded from Kanu over the last 10 years may have lost their value. The witness also admitted that Kanu's statement was obtained without the presence of his lawyer and that statements were not obtained from other persons. He admitted not knowing anyone on trial by the federal government on account of agitation for Biafra nation actualization. According to him, the person he knew is Simon Ekpa, who he said would soon be brought to the country for trial for supporting Kanu. The witness said that he read in the papers and social media those backing the defendants in the agitation. He said he did not remember Kanu complaining of corruption in high places, unemployment among youths, and tendering apologies to the president for insult hurled at him and negative remarks against Igbo leaders. The witness further said he could not remember when Kanu described IPOB as a voluntary organization that was not involved in carrying arms against the nation. He admitted that there were killings in some parts of the country, especially in the north, but the government has been doing everything to stem the tides of the killings. The witness also said he did not know whether the killings were a result of self-determination agitation. Meanwhile, Justice Omotosho has fixed May 6th, 7th and 8th for continuation of cross-examination.
We started our cross-examination today, and for hours it ran. And I guess we have made progress, and we're getting there. The matter is set down for Tuesday for continuation of cross-examination, and of course for new other witnesses to be heard. We believe, like we said at the last sitting, we're making progress. The trial is going on in a very congenial atmosphere, and we believe that we will get there.
Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
And from outside our shores, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Drug Enforcement Administration have requested a 90-day extension from the United States District Court to produce documents relating to an alleged drug investigation involving President Bola Tinubu dating back to the 1990s. The request was submitted on Thursday in a joint status report filed with the U.S. District Court of Columbia, and the case stems from a series of Freedom of Information Act requests by an American legal transparency advocate and founder of the platform Plainside, Aaron Greenspan. Mr. Greenspan is seeking the release of records connected to the Chicago-based drug ring and has named President Bola Tinubu with 3 other individuals, Lee Andrew Edwards, Moise Adeboyega Konde, and Abiodun Agbele. The court, presided over by Judge Beryl Howell, had earlier ordered the FBI and DEA to provide a status update on the search and release of non-exempt documents on May 2nd, 2025. However, in the latest filing, both agencies said they needed more time to complete their searches. Into politics now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has expressed his doubt that the executive arm of government will sincerely make the necessary amendment to the existing electoral laws ahead of the 2027 general election. The former vice president was speaking at a meeting with members of the Nigeria Youth for Atiku, which is a coalition of his supporters in Abuja. He asked the youth to prepare to defend their votes against any form of manipulation in 2027.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar walks into the Musa Yar'Adua Conference Hall along with some of his allies for an inaugural meeting with members of a coalition, the Nigeria Youths for Atiku. It's the first formal meeting with this coalition of support groups ahead of the 2027 general election, as the convener speaks to the group's objectives.
We are committed to supporting the vision of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, a leader who has continued to consistently show leadership who provided necessary platform for us.
The keynote speaker of the day is the former Deputy Governor of Ekiti State. He underscores the importance of having a strong coalition to defeat the incumbent party in 2027.
Individual candidature without alliance does not stand a chance of defeating the incumbent in 2027. That is a fact. This assertion is indicative of the well-entrenched undemocratic tendencies of the ruling party and the extent to which they can go on to hold on to power. Key institutions have been compromised to ensure continuity of second term of this government. 2023 episodes of fragmentation among the major presidential officials should thus be discouraged.
The man for whom this audience is gathered then takes the podium.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
He urges Nigerian youths to resist electoral manipulations in 2027, just as he doubts the sincerity of the National Assembly and the executive arm of government to make necessary amendments to the existing electoral laws.
There are amendments in the pipeline, but I don't see this president signing those amendments even if they are passed by the National Assembly, because he wants to exploit the loopholes that Professor Eleka highlighted in his address, that if they are blocked, we may see an improved electoral process. But if they succeed in manipulating, it's their fault. Because we can stand up to them with people like you at the polling booths and at the collation centers. If they succeed, then you must have compromised.
The high point of this meeting is the inauguration of the leadership of the youth movement, who would lead the mobilization for the support for Atiku's presidential ambition ahead of 2027.
The Julius Abure-led Labour Party has constituted a disciplinary committee to investigate complaints of indiscipline against the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, and other erring members. Mr. Abure, who briefed the press in Abuja after its National Executive Council meeting, also commended the Supreme Court judgment on the party's leadership, which, according to him, sets the record straight on the matter. The NEC meeting also commended the National Working Committee and agreed that the Labour Party will not be party to any coalition or merger towards the 2027 general elections.
Alex Oti was sworn in on the 29th day of March, May 2023. We expect that after 1 year, he will call a meeting of NEC, of the National Working Committee, and appreciate the leadership of the party for supporting him. The only meeting he could call is to create an illegal caretaker committee. What an ingrate. I've never seen such an ungrateful politician. Today, we have decided that we'll set up a disciplinary committee, that no man can be bigger than the party. We are making it very, very clearly that anybody who is in talk of any coalition is on his own and he does not carry the mandate of the Labour Party. And I repeat, number 9, NEC declared that the party is not and will not be part of any coalition towards the 2027 general election. Let us be heard loud and clear. The party will rather continue to rebuild, reposition, re-strategize, reconcile, straighten and drive its program and policies and win more members towards winning the 2027 general election.
In part 2, after the break, President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria will not bow to fear, terror or treachery as he meets with frontline troops in Katsina State. Please join us here. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Court sentences BRT driver Andrew Ominikoro to death by hanging for the murder of 22-year-old fashion designer Bamise in February 2022. The Department of State Service confirms that no weapon was found on the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, at the time of his arrest in 2015. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says he doubts the sincerity of the executive arm to effect the necessary changes to the nation's existing electoral laws ahead of the 2027 elections. And the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, tells the BBC he would love reconciliation with the royal family after losing a legal challenge over his security in the UK. President Bola Tinubu has given assurances of more collaboration with the Katsina state government in areas of agricultural mechanization and economic rejuvenation to boost food security in the state and in Nigeria. The president disclosed this when he commissioned the Katsina State Agricultural Mechanization Center and a 24-kilometer dual carriageway executed by the state government at the Tasharbala area in the state. He described mechanized farming as a great investment, promising residents of the state that his administration remains committed to their progress.
This is President Bola Tinubu's first visit to Katsina State since assuming office in 2023. The visit is at the instance of the Katsina State Governor, Nnamdi Rada, and the president, accompanied by some important personalities, are here on a two-day working visit to commission some projects undertaken by the state government.
We quickly prioritize public sector administration reform.
Governor Rada begins by briefing the president about the efforts of the state government in the area of agriculture and food security, as he presents the equipment procured by his administration in the last 2 years.
Agricultural Mechanization Center you are about to launch is only a fraction of our investment in agriculture over the past 2 years. The Mechanization Center will serve 34 local governments, multifunctional combined harvesters, digs, harrows, and ridges, as well as 1,000 multiplanters with us today. Mechanization will help our farmers reduce the average cost of cultivation per hectare and open new land of cultivation. We will run an efficient cluster model of mechanization which will group our smallholders farmers into cooperatives that can benefit mechanization. Large-scale farmers will also be supported, and the program is designed to be self-sustaining with over 4,000 pumping machines for irrigation, farming, and other inputs.
Impressed with the efforts of the Katsina state government in agriculture and other sectors of the economy, President Bola Tinubu assures of more collaboration with the state government in the areas of mechanized farming and economic rejuvenation to boost food production in the state and the country.
I want to congratulate the great people of Katsina for making the right choice, picking Dr. Atiku Rada as the governor. You are seeing the results. We work together. We collaborate for the good of this country. We decided that the people must be at the center of our program.
According to the president, the second phase of the Katsina-Kanu road is firmly on course, stating that the federal government has resolved the previous technical and bureaucratic challenges and work is ongoing on the road.
I assure you that the federal government remains committed to your progress. The second phase of Katsina-Kano Road is firmly on course. We have resolved the previous technical and bureaucratic challenges, and work is ongoing on that road.
The second project inaugurated by the president is a 24-kilometer dual carriageway eastern bypass completed by the Governor Diko Rada-led administration, which is part of the urban renewal project of the state government aimed at enhancing socio-economic and farming activities in the state.
Meanwhile, the president has warned that the country will not bow to fear, terror, or treachery. Those who he says may be seeking to destabilize Nigeria as domestic collaborators or foreign agents. The president was speaking when he met with frontline troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces in Katsina State as part of his visit to the state. Encouraging the troops, the president thanked them for their courage, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to the peace, security, and sovereignty of Nigeria. According to him, the threats of terrorism, banditry, and insurgency have persisted for too long, and Nigerians are counting on the troops to end the menace and reclaim every inch of Nigeria's territory. We continue the news at 10 now as we head over to Abuja Studios, where Gloria Mezuke is standing by. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Anne. We begin with the Nigeria Police Force, which has announced through its intelligence response team the rescue of 2 kidnapped Ghanaian nationals and apprehended a key kidnapping syndicate operating across international borders. A statement by the force public relations officer, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, says this followed a report filed with the National Central Bureau in Abuja on April 27, 2025, regarding the kidnap of one Anastasia Author, also known as Baidu, a 48-year-old Ghanaian national. The police swung into action. The statement adds that initial investigations revealed that Ms. Baidu's abduction stemmed from a sophisticated Facebook love scam. The statement explains that key breakthroughs in the investigation included the arrest of one Emeka Christian, a 27-year-old Nigerian national residing in Bolta Tanga in eastern Ghana, who confessed to receiving 10,000 cedis as ransom money for the victim through his Ghanaian mobile account. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is asking corps members to desist from indiscriminate use of social media, which is providing a platform for insurgents to gather information about troops and other Nigerians. Addressing corps members at the NYSC orientation camp in Yanopaja in Lagos, the Chief of Defense Staff, who was represented by Group Captain Ibrahim Bukar, says the fight against insecurity cannot be won entirely by security agencies without the cooperation of Nigerians.
Issues of personal and national security are the focus of this non-kinetic advocacy visit by officers from the defense headquarters to the NYC orientation camp in Yanopaja in Lagos State. The representative of the Chief of Defense Staff highlights the essence of the visit as he warns against indiscriminate use of social media, which propagates the activities of insurgents.
We have made a lot of efforts, but what is worrisome is most of those victims are youths, people within the ages of 18 and 35 or thereabout. And it is worrisome, very worrisome. That's why we thought of the non-kinetic aspect of our operations. We now embedded talk to National Youth Service Corps members. You are in the jet age of social media, no doubt, but at times you tend to encourage the enemy by either sending messages that you receive from an anonymous, either text message from an anonymous sources to propagate their activities. Please, you are encouraged to desist from that.
Figures of insurgents neutralized, kidnapped victims rescued, and arms and ammunition recovered are reeled out as it lists the successes recorded by the military in the fight against insurgency.
We have succeeded to neutralize, when I mean neutralize here, I mean kill, or to decimate. These are all synonyms. I mean we eliminated about 1,944 bandits and criminals in the northeast alone. Then we were able to rescue about 3,577 civilians that were held hostage. And thank you very much. But what is worrisome? What is worrisome? Please listen. Over 16,988 arms were recovered.
In addition to the number of arms and ammunition recovered, the military believes that a non-kinetic approach is crucial for a successful battle against insurgency. The Chief of Defense Staff also stressed the need for corps members to prioritize their personal security by being conscious of their movements in their places of primary assignment.
Governors of the Northeast region made up of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba and Yobe states have resolved to work closely with the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education through the provision of a space in each state. This is contained in a communique read by the Governor of Taraba State, Agbo Kafis, at the end of the Northeast Governors Forum held in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, where the forum also pledged to support the enrollment of Almajiri and out-of-school children into formal schools.
Forum notes that addressing the security challenges in the Northeast require a multidimensional approach of not only the kinetic strategy, but also address the root causes such as youth employment through vocational and technical education, improved road networks, improved education, and reducing poverty. Forum resolved to work closely with the National Commission for Almajiri and out-of-school children education by providing office space in each state, support the enrollment of Almajiri and out-of-school children into formal school, provision of vocational and technical education, as well as develop a unified approach to addressing the menace in the sub-region.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank of Nigeria reports 38.8 billion naira profit for the 2024 financial year, bounces back from a 1.15 trillion naira loss the previous year. Well, that's some business news. Just join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Now, residents of Kanu State are groaning under acute water scarcity, which they have been battling with for some time now. The supply of potable drinking water to the 8 local government areas, which currently stands at 415 million litres per day, has fallen short of over 900 million litres per day demand. Our correspondent, Abubakar Salihu, tells us more.
Kano metropolis, made up of 8 local government areas, is facing acute water shortage. Most households in the vicinity must rely on these truck-pushing vendors for their daily water needs. Residents who cannot afford the cost of 1,800 naira the vendors charge per truck of water resort to available hand pumps in the community. Some of the residents lament the situation while calling on the state government to come to their aid.
We are suffering from acute water shortage. Buying a jerrycan of water at 150 naira. The government should come to our aid. Truly, we are suffering. We buy a jerrycan of water at 100 naira or more. Government should please intervene.
The problem of water scarcity is deteriorating. People are suffering, and the commodity is threatening to become unaffordable. The government should please do something. Stakeholders identify population growth, erratic power supply, and outdated infrastructure as some of the factors responsible for the inadequate water supply. The Kano governor appeals to the residents for patience while promising to end the acute water shortage in the state.
Tells all the residents of the state that I understand the difficulties caused by the current water scarcity in the state. We sincerely ask for your patience. Government is doing everything possible in resolving the issue. I have already summoned all stakeholders in the water industry, especially the Honorable Commissioner in charge, the Kano State Water Board's Managing Director, as well as all members of the highly constituted Committee on Water Resources Development in the state. I want to assure everybody that we will do whatever it takes to ensure the availability of water supply.
To ensure the health and well-being of their subjects, governments at all levels must prioritize the provision of potable water in their domains. Abubakar Salihu, Channels Television News.
To the health sector now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has reported a total of 1,307 suspected cases of cholera across 30 states, with 34 associated deaths as April 2025. The Director General of the NCDC, Dr. Jide Idris, made the disclosure at a national health security briefing on cholera prevention and control and the current status of Lassa fever, cerebrospinal meningitis, and Mpox. According to Dr. Idris, Nigeria has recorded a steady decline in Lassa fever and cerebrospinal meningitis cases and 3 Mpox-related deaths across 3 states.
The Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Dr. Jide Idris, is leading other directors of the agency to this national health security briefing on cholera, Lassa fever, cerebrospinal meningitis, and Mpox. The briefing, the first this year by the agency, is in consideration of the concerning trend in cholera transmission, particularly as Nigeria approaches the peak of the rainy season. The NCDC boss begins the briefing with an update on the current status of Lassa fever, cerebrospinal meningitis, and Mpox in the country. According to him, Nigeria has recorded a steady decline in Lassa fever cases, with an overall case fatality rate of 19% as of April 2025. For meningitis, the country also recorded a steady decline in cases and fatalities over the past 3 weeks. As of week 16 of 2025, a total of 723 suspected cases of Mpox were reported across the 35 states and the FCT, with 3 deaths recorded as of week 10 in Abia, Ebonyi, and Rivers State, bringing the national case fatality rate for Mpox to 2.2%.
Tell you that we have a structure.
Dr. Idris then gives an update on the concerning transmission of cholera, the challenge on the misuse of antibiotics, and efforts to curb the rise in antimicrobial resistance.
As at the epidemic week 16, that is that week ending April 20th, 1,307 suspected cases of cholera have been reported across 30 states and 98 local government areas, with 34 associated deaths. We now have a case fatality of 2.6%. This rate again is well above our targets of less than 1%. AMR is a silent killer. They say it's responsible for a total number of deaths that is more than a combination of deaths from malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV. The way we take antibiotics, we don't take them based on prescription by doctors. People can just go across now to buy antibiotics. People prescribe for themselves. These are issues that have been done over the years that have led to this. Now, when you need antibiotics, the organisms you are trying to use antibiotics for have developed resistance to this. So our culture, our practices, so many things for the populace.
He also highlights other rapid response efforts.
We are going to monitor data, occurrences in each state, in each local government as the states give us. Once we start seeing trends, especially with respect to those hotspots local governments, we are urging now, apart from RRT teams from here, we cannot cover all states. That's why we are urging all the states to set up their own emergency preparedness and response teams. They should create their own RRT teams. Our own is to support them. So working together, we have to prepare for this.
The NCDC insists that imbibing proper hygiene by Nigerians remains the best method of preventing diseases. However, the agency reiterates its commitment to leading a coordinated national response. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Anne, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Gloria. To other stories, the presidential initiative on compressed natural gas has begun its enforcement of a price reduction for commercial vehicles converted from the use of petrol to CNG in commercial motor parks across northern Nigeria. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the regional CNG expansion coordinator north of this initiative, Mr. David Idakwo, says the initiative reached an agreement with commercial transport operators last year to freely convert their cars from petrol power to CNG power and in return slash the price of their fares by 40% to reduce the burden on Nigerians.
And based on the agreement that we have with them, of course, is for them to reduce the prices for the general public so that the effect of the fuel subsidy that was taken off, the burden will be reduced on Nigerians. So I'm here representing the project director to announce to you that here in Area 1, as of today, Area 1 Park, in conjunction with the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, we have come here to start enforcing the price reduction. This is why we are here. As of today, what we agreed with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, they have given us the prices, the fare amounts from Area 1 to different destinations when they were running on petrol. And we have come together, made an analysis, and achieved a 40% reduction in the fare, in the transportation from Area 1 to all other destinations.
As part of efforts to boost the economic potentials of the Niger Delta region, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, NLNG, has already launched a new program for small businesses and entrepreneurs, tagged NLNG Vocational Innovative Business Enterprise Scheme, for NLNG Vibes for short. This program is designed to train and equip aspiring entrepreneurs with the skills to become economically self-sufficient.
This venue in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, is bubbling with activity. It's the launch of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Vocational Innovative Business Enterprise Scheme, otherwise known as NLNG Vibes.
Support us.
The head of the Sustainable Department of the NLNG, Chinyere Anorongem, in her opening remarks explains the objectives of the program, giving a rundown of previous editions and how members of the society benefited.
Our economic empowerment initiative, through which we trained some youths from our host communities in different vocations, including photography and video recording, hospitality and hotel management, fashion and designing, and the likes. And at the end, we equipped them with some sort of materials and funds to enable them to kickstart.
On his part, the company's general manager, external relations, represented by the manager for community relations and sustainable development, lays down NLNG's vision for the program.
We believe that Vibes will foster an environment where individuals can create businesses, generate employment, and become innovators. This belief drives our commitment to nurturing local capacity and enabling individuals to become creators of jobs, wealth, and lasting impact.
He then launches the program.
I want to declare the Vibes program officially launched today.
Some past beneficiaries of the previous NLNG years program, which has been repackaged as the Vibes program, share their very positive experiences before, during, and after taking part in the program.
It has been an amazing journey starting out. We had amazing teachers, people that taught us well, and when they gave us the starter pack, I made up my mind that anything they give me here, I'm going to work with it, and it has really been helpful.
Currently, I have 3 people I work with in terms of business compliance, where we help them facilitate. We bring them close to IT. We connect their businesses to IT and softwares. We have a co-working center we use at D-Line, and we are looking at expanding into our own personal office, hopefully by the end of this year.
With this move, Beneficiaries will be trained and mentored by top professionals from various fields, with the top 50 getting a 2 million naira grant to help upscale their businesses with the hope that they can become self-sufficient and contribute to the society.
Well, it's good news for the Central Bank of Nigeria. It posted gains for the year 2024. Will Ibong is standing by to give us more in the world of business.
Thank you, and that's right. The Central Bank of Nigeria has posted a profit of 38.8 billion naira in 2024, bouncing back from a massive 1.15 trillion naira loss recorded in 2023. The turnaround comes as the bank benefited from a surge in foreign exchange revaluation gains, which jumped by over 225% to 11.28 trillion naira. Total operating income rose sharply to 15.1 trillion naira compared to 5.9 trillion in the previous year. Although interest income grew to 5.1 trillion naira, interest expenses also spiked to nearly 5 trillion naira, pushing net interest income down by 94% to just 122.9 billion naira. The financial statements were audited by KPMG and Ernst & Young in line with global financial reporting standards. As required by law, 20% of the profit will be retained, while the rest goes to the federal government. Nigeria's GDP per capita has dropped to $824, lower than the $1,847 recorded at independence in 1960, according to the African Development Bank President Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. Speaking at an event in Lagos, Adesina warns that Nigerians are worse off today despite the country's status as Africa's largest economy by GDP. He blamed the decline on weak institutions, policy failures, and over-reliance on oil. He calls for urgent structural reforms, including investment in power, infrastructure, industrialization, and innovation, adding, underdevelopment should not be accepted as our destiny. Mr. Adesina points to South Korea, once behind Nigeria in 1960, now boasts of a GDP per capita above $36,000. He stresses Nigeria must act boldly to shape a prosperous and competitive future. Meta says it will be forced to shut down Facebook and Instagram in Nigeria, citing unrealistic demands and nearly $300 million in fines imposed by at least 3 government agencies in Nigeria. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has upheld a $220 million fine on Meta Platforms Incorporated and its subsidiary WhatsApp for violating the country's data protection and consumer rights laws. The penalty, which Meta must pay within 60 days, was upheld by the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal on Friday, April the 25th this year, following a comprehensive investigation. Now we head to the domestic stock market, which resumed from the May Day holiday with positive sentiments, which I'm sure any John McQuarrie is happy to report.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. A surprising turn is what we see at the close of trade at the NGX. From a negative intraday to a positive close and a comfortable one, 151 billion naira is what was added to the market cap to bring it to 66.6 trillion. The all share regained the 106,000 level right there. So it's a green 0.23%. And well, the drivers are here and there. So we look at the activities and we see a green activity charts right there. Deals more than 18,000, value 15.25 billion, and volume of 573. Look at the sectors. Banking is down. The figures mostly down. You know, consumers, however, is where the magic is up more than 2% because of Cadbury gained, Nigerian breweries gained, and drove this right here. Now, MTN is not in any of this sector, but MTN also gained 5 naira today, and I believe that added to the green color that we see. But we look at oil and gas, it's down 0.17%. Japan Gold lost as well as O&O. So for the final trading day of this week, we welcome the bull.
And that's business news. Is back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. Outside our shores, Buckingham Palace has responded to the Court of Appeal's decision on Prince Harry's UK security arrangements today. The statement from the palace says all of these issues have been examined repeatedly and meticulously by the courts, with the same conclusion reached on each occasion. The Duke of Sussex, who is no longer a working member of the royal family, had told the BBC in an emotional interview that he was devastated at losing legal challenge over his security in the UK. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Activists who are planning to sail a ship to Gaza say it was struck by drones in international waters off the coast of Malta, appearing to accuse Israel of being behind the attack. A recording of the distress call from the flotilla ship was recorded by a crew member on a nearby oil tanker. The captain of the flotilla ship can be heard reporting drone strikes and a fire on board. The Maltese government said everyone aboard the ship was confirmed safe and that a fire on board was brought under control overnight. The Israeli military said it was looking into reports of the attack.
I was part of a group who was supposed to board that boat today to continue the voyage towards Gaza, which is one of many attempts to open up a humanitarian corridor. So,
Police in Hong Kong have arrested the father and brother of a US-based pro-democracy activist, Anna Kwok, for allegedly helping her with finances. It is the first time the relatives of an absconder have been charged under the territory's security law. The authorities accused Ms. Kwok of Hong Kong's national security laws after participating in pro-democracy protests in 2019. Police launched an investigation into the pair after observing they had met Ms. Kwok overseas. Germany's Alternative for Deutschland party has been designated as right-wing extremist by the country's Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution. The AfD came second in federal elections in February, winning a record 152 seats in the 630-seat parliament with a 20.8% share of the vote. The parliament, or Bundestag, will hold a vote next week to confirm Conservative leader Friedrich Merz as Chancellor, heading a coalition with the centre-left Social Democrats. AfD's joint leaders said the decision was clearly politically motivated and a severe blow to German democracy. 10 people have been killed and more than 30 injured after a bus hit several vehicles at a toll gate on one of the busiest highways in northern Philippines, according to authorities. The bus driver, who has been detained, said he fell asleep at the wheel. Police said 4 children were among the dead. The accident on Thursday happened when families were travelling for Labour Day. The Department of Transportation ordered the suspension of Solid North Bus, a major bus operator in the region and the company that owned the vehicle involved in the crash. The US Vice President J.D. Vance has said the war in Ukraine is not going to end anytime soon in an interview with Fox News. Mr. Vance said the question facing the US administration now was how it could help Russia and Ukraine find middle ground to end the conflict that has been raging for more than 3 years.
It's going to be up to them to come to an agreement and stop this brutal conflict. It's not going anywhere, Brett. It's not going to end anytime soon. And I think for the Ukrainians, yes, of course, they're angry that they were invaded, but are we going to continue to lose thousands and thousands of soldiers over a few miles of territory this or that way? I hope both of them come to their senses.
It's an honor to serve you in this administration.
Meanwhile, the US President Donald Trump has removed Mike Waltz from his post as National Security Advisor and will nominate him as ambassador to the United States. In a post on social media, Trump thanked Waltz for his work and said he would temporarily be replaced by the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who will continue as America's top diplomat. Waltz had faced criticism for mistakenly adding a journalist to a chat group where sensitive military plans were discussed. The former Florida congressman is the first senior member of the administration to leave the White House in Trump's second term. And Russell Brand has been granted bail and left Westminster Magistrates Court in London after facing charges of rape, sexual assault and indecent assault. The broadcaster, comedian and actor faces 1 allegation of rape, 1 allegation of indecent assault. Photos surrounded the broadcaster, comedian and actor as his car arrived, and he did not speak to the reporters gathered outside the court building. Mr. Brand did not enter a plea during the 12-minute hearing.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The World Athletics has confirmed that more than 3,000 runners are expected to participate in this year's Enugu City International Marathon. The marathon, which will feature the 10-kilometer and 42-kilometer race, is scheduled for Saturday, May 3rd. The 10-kilometer race will begin at the Eastern Nigerian Medical Center, while the 42-kilometer race marathon will begin from the Enugu City Mall with a finish line at the Opara Square. In basketball, San Antonio Spurs have announced that head coach Greg Popovich is stepping down after 29 seasons. The National Basketball Association franchise said that Popovich would transition to a new role as president of basketball operations. Popovich, who led San Antonio Spurs to 5 NBA championships, is one of the most beloved figures in basketball. The 76-year-old also led the United States to a gold medal at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. And Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has admitted that seeing Liverpool win the Premier League has been painful after the Gunners fell short in the title race for a third successive season. It's a huge blow for Arsenal, who have missed out yet again after pushing Manchester City all the way for the past 2 seasons. Arteta, whose side hosts Bournemouth on Saturday, said finishing second in the Premier League was a target now. Arsenal are 5 points clear of Newcastle United with 4 games to play, with the top 5 all qualifying for next season's Champions League. And Fulham boss Marco Silva has admitted the news is not good regarding Rodrigo Muni's fitness, with the striker expected to be out for the rest of the season with an Achilles injury. Silva, who has scored 8 Premier League goals so far this campaign, has been absent for Fulham's last 2 matches. Silva said he will look to Raul Jimenez and Carlos Vinicius as striking options ahead of their trip to Aston Villa on Saturday. A win will be paramount for the Cottagers, who dream of their first European finish since the 2011-2012 season. That's sport. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The Lagos High Court has convicted and sentenced a BRT driver, Andrew Minikoron, to death by hanging for a murder of the 22-year-old fashion designer Bamise Ayana in February 2022. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night and stay safe.